Velociraptor. This wasn't just wrong. It was Hollywood's biggest dinosaur lie. On screen, they're 6 feet tall, hunting in packs, opening kitchen doors. Terrifying, iconic, and completely wrong. Now here's what Velociraptor actually looked like. About the size of a turkey. Not a wolf. You could literally hold one in your hands. The filmmakers even knew it. They just thought Velociraptor sounded scarier. Branding beat biology. But the real betrayal is the skin. The movie raptors are smooth and scaly. The actual animal was covered in feathers. We know this because fossils have quill knobs on the forearm bones, the same anchor points modern birds use for wing feathers. A real velociraptor was basically an angry feathered turkey with claws. Still deadly, just deeply uncinematic. And as wrong as the raptors were, they're not even the most invented monster in the movie. Dilophosaurus. This wasn't a venom-spitting killer. Almost everything the movie shows you is fiction. Start with the frill. There is zero fossil evidence it had one. It was borrowed from the frilled lizard of Australia because the filmmakers needed a visual warning for the audience. The venom? Also fiction. Added in the novel, not science. The whole spitter concept was invented twice over. Once by a novelist, once by a screenwriter. Then there's the size. The movie shrank it to dog-sized so audiences wouldn't confuse it with the raptors. A 2020 study shows it was actually a large apex predator, the biggest land hunter of the entire early Jurassic. The making of book called it the only serious departure from scientific accuracy in the film. They weren't exaggerating, they erased reality. It's the most fictionalized dinosaur in the whole franchise. Tyrannosaurus Rex. Jurassic Park's most famous T-Rex scene is pure science fiction. Its vision is based on movement. If you don't move, it can't see you. Standing still in front of a T-Rex wouldn't have saved you. It would have just given it a clear, well-lit look at lunch. T-Rex had forward-facing eyes with full binocular vision and depth perception. It likely saw better than a hawk. The freeze trick was brilliant cinema. It was also completely made up. There's a smaller error hiding in plain sight too. Watch the hands. Palms face down, ready to slap. Wrong. Theropods couldn't rotate their wrists like that. Their palms faced inward toward each other. They couldn't rotate their wrists like humans. Paleontologists call it clappers, not slappers. Every dinosaur in the movie holding its hands like a begging dog is doing something its skeleton physically couldn't do. The Rex itself is one of the better depictions in the film. But it's not the only predator whose reputation the franchise inflated. Spinosaurus. This never fought a T-Rex, and never could. They never met. Spinosaurus lived in North Africa around 95 million years ago. T-Rex in North America roughly 30 million years later. Different continents, different epochs, one sentence, one impossible matchup. And Spinosaurus wasn't even built for that fight. Short hind limbs, a long, powerful paddle-like tail, dense bones built for staying submerged, nostrils set high on a crocodile-like skull for breathing while half underwater. This was the first dinosaur we know lived a semi-aquatic life, wading through rivers and snatching giant fish. The movie took a river-dwelling fish eater and cast it as a heavyweight champion, Mosasaurus. This was real, and it was genuinely huge. Maximum estimates put it around 60 feet long. Respectable. Terrifying. But the movie version pushes dimensions that rival a blue whale, the largest animal that has ever existed. They scaled a real predator into a kaiju. The details are off too. The film gives it an armored back. Real mosasaurs had small, tight, diamond-shaped scales, not armor. And we now know from preserved tissue, they had a proper shark-like tail fin for propulsion, not a simple lizard tail. The movie took a sleek marine hunter and turned it into a sea monster from a different genre entirely. The land and sea both got the supersized treatment. So did the sky. Pteranodon, the leathery terrors that swoop down and carry people off by the third and fourth films. Grab a teenager, lift a grown adult, drop them into the water. Dramatic. Also physically impossible. Two problems. First, Pteranodon's feet were small and built for walking, not grabbing. No talons, no grip, no eagle-style snatch. It could not have lifted a human or anything close. The aerodynamics alone rule it out. This was a fish eater with a long toothless beak, built to skim the water and scoop prey, not a flying predator that plucked people off the ground. For all that wingspan, around 20 feet, the body underneath was lightweight, hollow-boned, and shockingly delicate. A creature that fragile, snatching up a full-grown adult would have broken itself, not its victim. Second, and this one trips up almost everybody, Pteranodon isn't a dinosaur at all. It's a pterosaur, a flying reptile on a completely separate branch of the family tree. The movie that calls itself a Dinosaur Park has been quietly miscategorizing its most famous flyer the entire time. Even the smaller background animals didn't escape the rewrite. Gallimimus. You remember the stampede. A flock of them sprinting across the plain, flowing around the wrecks. Grant delivering the "they're flocking this way" line. Great scene. Wrong animal on 2 counts. Gallimimus was an ornithomimid, an ostrich-mimic dinosaur, and it wasn't a screeching predator. It was a herbivore, or at most an omnivore, basically the prehistoric equivalent of an ostrich. It didn't even have teeth, just a toothless beak built for cropping plants and snapping up the occasional small creature. Not the menacing carnivore the chaos of that scene implies. And like its relatives, the evidence says it was feathered, especially along the arms and tail. The movie shows you a bald, scaly, leggy reptile. Reality was closer to a giant, fluffy bird jogging across the landscape. The irony is, the movie almost got the behavior right. These were fast, flighty, herd-running animals built for outrunning danger. It just dressed them in the wrong costume. Less nightmare, more very fast emu. The feathers. This is the big one, and it runs through every film and every species. When the original Jurassic Park came out in 1993, the evidence for feathered dinosaurs was just beginning to emerge, so the all-scales look was forgivable. Barely. The problem is, the franchise froze its science in that exact moment and never moved on. By the time the sequels were rolling, paleontologists had overwhelming proof that raptors, ornithomimids, Gallimimus, and a long list of others were feathered animals, far closer to birds than to lizards. Even Tyrannosaurus may have had feather patches along its back. The science moved forward. The movies didn't. They kept the scaly monsters because scaly monsters sell tickets. And at this point, the featherless raptor is so baked into pop culture that a scientifically accurate one would feel wrong to most viewers. That's the real legacy here. Jurassic Park is the reason 1 billion people fell in love with dinosaurs. It's also the reason most of them picture dinosaurs that never existed. Spectacle 1. Science took the back seat. Which one fooled you the longest? Drop it in the comments, hit subscribe, and ring the bell.